This happened a number of years ago. I think it was around 2008, 2009. I was around 19 at the time. I'm now 25. I live in Maui, Hawaii. My house is unique in that it's a 12-sided roundhouse. The area I live in is known as Upcountry, and the town is called Makawao. My neighborhood is a well-populated suburban area with houses close to each other, about every 20 or 25 yards or so. I live towards the top of the street, about 4 houses in. Anyway, getting to the story. This happened during the weekend. Must have been a Friday. I had a few friends over, maybe about 4 or 5 of us. We were all hanging out playing video games and talking story, as we say over here. I had started to get hungry, so I went to the kitchen to put up some water for the food I was going to make. One of my friends, we'll call him John, was in the living room using the desktop computer, which at the time was sitting on a desk facing the kitchen with a complete line of sight to the main hallway as well. This is important. So, after I had put up the water, I walked back into my room, which was across the living room and the first door you see when you enter the threshold of the living room from the hallway. I was talking to someone on Skype and was in there for what seemed like an hour or so. I almost forgot about the water until I heard the timer on the stove go off. I opened my door and started to walk to the kitchen. My friend John then looked up and I caught his gaze. He was clearly visibly disturbed by something and also confused. His skin looked pale. I raised an eyebrow inquisitively and shot him an equally confused glance. He then said in a shaky voice, "Dude, were you in the room all this time?" I responded, "Yes, why?" I noticed a few beads of sweat forming on his forehead at this point. He slowly raised his arm and pointed his index finger to the main hallway, which leads to the front door of my house, then made a motion towards the kitchen. What he said next, admittedly, gave me chills. "Dude, I heard the front door open and close. I saw you walk into the kitchen, stand at the stove, and you just stared at the wall for a few seconds." He swallowed and continued. "I asked you if you were okay, and you didn't answer me. Then you just turned and walked back out the front door, but then you came out of your room." To this day, I have no explanation what happened that night, but I know this for sure. John was not someone to fabricate nonsense like that, and the look on his face and overall complexion showed that he was clearly frightened by something. Now, I have read about myths, legends, I guess, involving what's called doppelgangers. From what I understand, it's a Germanic word for double, usually meaning a copy of someone, typically their opposite. But I still don't know what happened. And now, years later, I often wonder what would have happened if I had seen my other half.